Good evening to you. Thanks for your company. The establishment didn't want you knowing about the Afghan leak because they know you wouldn't have accepted it. And they're not telling you the truth about the number of migrant hotels opening either because they know communities won't stand for it. In fact, they don't want to tell you about anything that's going on because the truth is they value young men from third world countries more than they do you at home. Some would call that betrayal. This is today's Sunday Telegraph, headlined, "Migrant hotels are kept secret because of privacy concerns." The story reads, Newcastle City Council said that it could not inform residents that a city centre hotel was being used by the Home Office to house migrants, saying, "We would not share a resident's personal information with other residents unless we had specific legal reasons to do so." The council suggested the Home Office would be bound by the same rules. Very good. This kind of deceit is only causing division and anger. British people should be consulted, or at least informed, out of basic courtesy, I argue, if they're going to have hundreds of strange men from faraway lands moving into their communities. Because the truth is, these people come from countries that are totally incompatible with Western life, not least in the way they view women and girls. Just look at what's happening at the Bell Hotel in Epping Forest in Essex, where an asylum seeker allegedly sexually assaulted a local teenager. Even the mums down there are now turning far right.
Why are you letting 500-600 undocumented men come across the channel every day into this country? We don't know who they are, we don't know what their background is, but they don't share our values, they don't respect women and they do not respect children. Yes! Yes!
She's probably on some anti-terror watch list by now, I suspect. But anyway, it was only in March that the Daily Telegraph revealed Afghans and Eritreans were more than 20 times likely to account for sexual offence convictions than British citizens. That's according to Ministry of Justice data. And overall, foreign nationals were 71% more likely than Britons to be responsible for sex convictions. Well, let's forget sex offenders for a moment, shall we? What about this story in The Sun on Sunday today, where a pair of asylum seekers have been caught making porn videos in a migrant hotel to sell on the sex website OnlyFans. A Syrian man was discovered having sex with a female migrant on camera by shocked hotel staff during a room inspection at a hotel in Blackpool. A former manager of the hotel told The Sun, "The guy had a whole setup, a camera on a tripod at the end of the bed, sex toys everywhere. It was pretty obvious what was happening." Well, I guess that gives Smash the Gangs a whole new meaning. So with that in mind, can you imagine the kind of arrogance and contempt the state has for the British public, you, to continue opening these hotels without so much as a heads up to worried communities? They don't give a damn about us. In Altrincham, near Manchester, residents complained that there was an information vacuum about a hotel that opened there. In West Oxfordshire, the council has in the past complained that even councillors were not informed about plans to move in migrants. And Tower Hamlets, the London borough with the largest Bangladeshi population in the UK, told the Daily Telegraph that "We do not announce when asylum seeker hotels are stood up in the borough, nor do we announce when a refugee comes." There are now thought to be more than 200 asylum hotels across the UK, housing some 32,000 migrants at a projected cost of, get this, £15 billion by 2029, 5 times the annual cost of our nuclear deterrent. For 15 billion quid of your money, I don't think it's too much to ask that the government at least tells me and you who the hell is moving next door to us.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. You can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% of your first eSIM plan ready for your trip so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when traveling so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan, you can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best, and then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GBNews. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel now. The political commentator Samuel Sweek, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and the businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Good evening, panel. Welcome along. Chloe, ladies first. We're not being told about migrant hotels. Does this surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because, as you've listed out there are plenty of cases where the government will hide from us the truth because it's convenient for them to do so. Now, I can understand there being some logic in that they don't want to endanger the migrants that are being put in those hotels by telling everyone and then there being a big protest or potentially a riot. But I think that it's almost the same as with the grooming gangs where we say, we're going to keep this quiet because we don't want to stir up community tensions. People deserve to know the truth, even if that comes with an element of safety concerns, for sure. And I think quite rightly, people are absolutely furious across this country and were furious in Epping, not just about that sexual assault that happened, but generally the country is furious about people just being plonked in communities, not being told. You've got parents whose kids would say normally they'd feel safe sending them walking to school by themselves if they're old enough, and now they can't do that. Now they're terrified to let their kids outside the door. It's completely unfair.
Adam, you've been down to that Bell Hotel protest in recent days. What's it like? A
lot of anger. I'm an Epping Forest District resident.
Yeah.
This hotel is 2 miles from my house.
Was the community told it was going to be made into a migrant hotel?
Well, no, it was closed under the Conservatives as a migrant hotel and reopened in the spring via Labour. I think the Express newspaper even did an article on it reopening, saying how many problems there'd been in the past. As a local resident, I'd like to know if there was a risk assessment. It is hundreds of metres from a school.
Do you think there was a risk assessment?
Well, there must be a freedom of information request by someone, surely, to find out if they assessed that there was a risk to school children. There have been allegations of not only sexual assault, like we've seen. Local women have told me there are allegations of groups of drunk men, migrants, thieving from the local Tesco's and getting drunk in the forest. There are allegations of intimidation, of harassment, of flashing women in the forest. This isn't on. Residents need to be safe in their own town, and especially school children must be safe going to and from school. Now, these migrant hotels, there was some serious data released this week. There has been 18 charges of rape. There has been 5 attempted rapes charged in these hotels, 89 assaults, 43 drug offences, 16 charges of robbery and 18 for burglary. They're just the ones that have been reported.
Was that the story in The Sun from Friday, I think, or Saturday?
I got this off of Matt Goodwin.
Yeah.
So those figures from The Sun, they've gone off the basis of the just over 100 migrant hotels that they know of. They've gone through everyone that's been in the magistrates' courts and matched those up. Given that we know the number of hotels is about double that, the figures are probably double what Adam said, which is scary.
Samuel, with all this in mind, this is, the kind of figures that Adam just relayed there, the stories that we mentioned in the introduction there, do you not think it's at least courteous of the government, of the state, to tell communities, to tell British people, their families and their children, oh, hi, guys, by the way, even if we don't ask you permission, we're just going to let you know out of courtesy that we're going to install a migrant hotel here?
I mean, with that said, I can understand people's frustration that they haven't been consulted and there hasn't been these conversations, and what could be used to, say, a tourist asset in their local communities is being used by the Home Office to house refugees and people who have come to this country. But with that said, I think we also do need to ensure that we safeguard and adequately protect the people who are, obviously, bear in mind, have no proper income, have no actual real place to go in this country. They're incredibly vulnerable, with that said, and their safety also has to be protected. Look, I don't think that anybody, including myself in this, wants to see people holed up in hotels the whole time. I think that's completely inadequate. I think that's inadequate for communities, but I think that's also wholly inadequate for the people who have come to this country. There needs to be a complete reset as to how we look at supporting people in this who have come to this country. And that must look at housing, and that must also look at allowing people to work, to actually contribute, to not be holed up in these places.
I'm not sure what kind of message that sends to channel migrants, saying, come here, you get freebies, you'll get benefits. Oh, by the way, you can work as well whilst your asylum claim is processed. But in the meantime, do you not think that the government should be telling people when these hotels pop up?
I think, look, I think, as I said, it's completely inadequate that this is the situation these people find themselves in. But what I would say is, well, we have to look at, again, the safety.
OK,
but what about the safety of the girls?
No, of course.
Women and girls.
Here's a better
Why are we
question.
always just focused on the safety of the migrants and their human rights?
Girls matter more.
Matter too.
Girls matter more. There are residents that will. One second. There are girls that are not allowed to walk to school now in Epping because their parents are fearful of what is going to come their way. That is shameful. It's 2025 in Britain, and we are allowing families to be worried for their children just going to school.
Adam, but what I would say as well, we're no more than 12 months away from people trying to burn down a hotel which housed migrants in this
Well, let me just tell you, that is disgusting.
It's not about trading one thing off against the other. We have to ensure the safeguard of all communities, but also we have to look after the people who have come and are in.
Are you aware that a man has been charged that was living at that hotel for 2 hotel fires, tried to burn them both down? It's alleged, obviously, he's been charged. He hasn't been found guilty yet.
That's not every single person, is it?
Can I ask you, Samuel?
Yeah.
Why do you think the government and the state isn't telling communities these hotels are popping up?
It's a very good question. But what I would say, I think...
Any idea on the answer?
Not really. No, I think it's a tinderbox of an issue. You know, it's incredibly divisive. You know, there are people who, frankly, do not want people to come to this country at all, even if they're fleeing poverty, prosecution, and war. And there are people on the other side who believe that, in fact, we should be supporting, as a developed nation, we should be supporting.
Would you agree? Would you agree it potentially creates more concern and tinderbox atmospheres when you just install these hotels into communities, hundreds of strange people installed into communities without it? Would you agree that creates even more concern and worry amongst Brits?
I think there's the tendency for that to happen when you have people who are going to agitate and are willing to stir up those tensions. I'm not saying that's everybody who has concerns, because there are, of course, legitimate concerns. But what I would say is we need to watch out for people who do have an agenda and are happy to push that agenda, and that's what led us to those riots last year. And I think that that's something that needs to be wholly avoided. And I can see the very tough situation that councils and the government do put themselves in. And I do obviously sympathise with people who do not feel safe in their communities now. But I think that the government and councils have a responsibility to ensure the safety of all people in their communities, whether they be full-time residents or whether they be living in a hotel.
I mean, they keep on putting up these hotels without telling people in the most ludicrous places. So, I mean, Adams mentioned the Epping one is near a school.
Yeah.
Altrincham in Manchester, that was opened up right by both a primary school and an all-girls school. And then I had a mother from Rotherham tell me that they opened up about 6 to 8 migrant hotels there in a community where girls are terrified enough because of the grooming gangs to walk the streets, and they put one right by a school. Why do they keep putting them by schools? Do you think if it's at least they should tell us if they're going to put it near a school? Surely they should be consulting parents.
Look,
Completely unacceptable for them not to do so.
And this is why I believe that there needs to be more care taken by councils and the government to integrate people properly and allowing people to work and not just be stuck pinned down in communities.
What war are they fleeing from in Pakistan? Could you tell me?
There's instability in Pakistan.
Instability is not the British taxpayers' problem. Why should we pay for them to come here because they don't like where they live, or they want more money, or they want a house?
That case at all. No, I mean, there's incredibly repressive regimes and governments and militias.
So should we take everyone around the world, the millions around there that are not liking where they live?
What's happening, though, is it? There is a refugee crisis.
They will come to the country that gives them the most, and that is us.
The sad reality is that there are millions and millions, if not billions, of people in this world that live in A, extreme poverty, and B, very dangerous countries. And I hate to break it to you, but we cannot save all of them. We can't take the whole world into Britain. It's not the solution, and especially when that comes at the cost of our safety and a huge bill for the taxpayer, it's just not viable.
Samuel, can I ask, finally, before we move on, what do you make of the stats from the Telegraph in March showing that Afghans and Eritreans were 20 times more likely than Brits to be convicted of sex offences?
You obviously know this. I've not seen that data beyond that headline there, but obviously that is incredibly shocking. But sexual assaults and sexual offences are prominent and disgusting in every single country they happen in, and it's inadequate in this country
Correct. So why would we import more? We have enough scumbags in this country as it is.
But that's such a straw man argument to Adam.
No, it isn't. Why should we be importing
people? Every
people
who comes into this country is a sexual offender.
We are allowing people with a disproportionate amount of sexual offences to come into this country. Is that true or not via those figures?
Again, I've only seen the top line.
Well, just take my word on it. It's true. It's a Daily Telegraph article based on FOI requests from the Ministry of Justice, showing Afghans and Eritreans are 20 times more likely to be convicted of sex offences in this country than Brits.
But with the government's data, it's over 85% of sexual offences in this country are committed by British people.
Well, probably because there's more British people here.
Proportionality.
It's per capita.
No, I understand what you're saying there, but I'm just saying.
Right, so Sammy, with respect, mate, that is a completely non-comment because you're.
Is it? Because I'm saying that there is no correlation between your nationality.
It's per capita.
But there's no correlation between your nationality and your likelihood to commit a sexual
I've just told you the stats, Samuel.
Let's just think about this logically, even if you
stats,
question that stat. If you grow up in a country where the norm is consent isn't really a thing, girls get married off at the age of about 12, rapes are very, very common, criminality is very common because there's not really much government and so places just run with, criminal gangs. Do you not think that someone who's grown up in that environment might at least be a little bit more likely to commit a sexual assault or rape?
Yeah, I think there's nuances and I think there's a lot that needs to be considered with that, but I don't for 1 second buy the line that somebody is predisposed to be a rapist because of where they were born.
No, and that's not the case. But again, we cannot keep importing people that we do not know their criminal histories. We do not know their motives for coming here. That is our argument.
Yeah.
OK?
OK, apparently the establishment's intent behind withholding the Afghan leak wasn't to keep the public in the dark. They argue it was to protect lives by preventing the Taliban from discovering the data. And it was, in fact, the MOD and the new Labour government at the time from last year who did seek that to lift the super injunction. But there we go. Right, up next...